Hello, this is Black Moon Sim here, and today we'll be featuring our week one battle up against the Hawaiian Rainbow Wartortles, coached by Bear. I'll leave his information and like the well in the document in the description of how the league's going. So for those who want to keep up with it. So first off, I would like to say a couple things before we move on to the battle. First of all, we actually have two matches because we turns out they changed this the last minute, and I'm if any of you watched like, the video that I made prior, it showed that it was best of one for the double battle league, but now it is best of three. So basically, we have um like we can have as many as three battles in 1 week going for against the same person. So and Bear, this was something that I didn't know as like up to that point. So I think we literally had to battle again. So um after me knowing like the well after the result of that battle, we had to battle again because we didn't know. So it's not it's I wouldn't like say anything bad against them or whatever. It was just like, oh, it was just a minor mistake that wouldn't end. So the other thing is that we have to declare sea crystals, and I would assume you have to use. I don't know if whether it's you have to use it, you have the option to use a sea crystal. In this case, I said like ICMC, even though I never really wanted to use it. So well, I don't know. So but yeah. So two things is there should be best of one. Instead of best of one, it's gonna be best of three. So you're gonna see maybe 2 or 3 matches. You can guess depending on how long the videos will be. You can tell like how long maybe the matches will be, but or maybe it's gonna be dragged out. So I've decided to just put the entire series in just one video, just for all the future battles because I think it's best just to showcase everything else. So to showcase what happened in that series. So no like videos, splitting videos or whatever. I think it's gonna be easier for on my end, just because I always forget a lot of shit. So yeah, like we'll just go on and talk about week week one. So week one we have Bear has brought a very like a team that I actually think that he would have brought. Like I actually expected this lineup, maybe this plus Latias, but I'm surprised they did not bring Latias. And yeah, it's quite surprising they brings both the Taps Bulu and the Ferrothorn. He does bring Suicune, he does bring the Blaziken, he does bring the Scrafty, which were both things that I feared. So this week we are in a so we'll just focus on what's happening in the battle. So here on the side, I am just immediately going to lead off with my preferred lead of Gengar Whimsicott because it's probably my best lead option. And soon as we get off, as soon as you see, he leads Suicune and Scrafty. Here, I decide, you know what? I'm not playing around turn one. I rather get the. I decide to like prevent the Suicune from going for any shenanigans like Calm Mind or Tailwind or whatever. So I decide to make it up turn one, and he goes for the fake out. Here I decided to I went for the Moonblast, try to get the cheeking a little bit, and yeah, and I go for taunt, and Suicune is actually gonna go for Icy Wind, and it does a lot to Whimsicott. Now here, let me just talk about this play. I don't really have much to go towards because now I am very much weakened my Whimsicott is in danger because he did bring Blaziken, and it's one of my it's one of my few checks I have to for Blaziken aside Gyarados, which I'm about to send in right now. But the reason why I send in Gyarados is because I want a Toxic Suicune and I want to put Scrafty on the timer so that like any one of my mons can just take it out the following turn. So I go to Gyarados, get the Intimidate, I go for Protect, and he goes for the Icy Wind again, just to reduce my speed. And he goes for Knockoff as a good play on his part. So just to take out the Gengar because the Gengar is the one that's trapping him in. And here I decide to switch out to Gengar, go to Zapdos. He goes for another Icy Wind again, and it reduces my Zapdos by 2/3 speed, and Gyarados now by half. And he goes for Knockoff, and he gets rid of my Berry, and I go for Toxic. And right now, these things are very interesting right now. So he has Icy Wind. He only revealed Icy Wind. He's only revealed he hasn't revealed any other item. So right now I'm like, all right, so maybe my best play is to here I decide to I'm thinking like, what should I do? Should I just Toxic the Scrafty or Roost? Because I can't really protect. I kind of want to save my Gyarados here. Item. I thought about it because I know that he has Knockoff, and I'm like thinking, ah, shoot, I might have to save my Gyarados item and I have to switch out. But nothing else can take the combination of Suicune to hits, and I don't want to get my Pokemon's speed reduced. Metagross is an option, but again, Scrafty is there, so he could just easily knock off. So you'll see now that his taunt wears off, and he goes for Ferrothorn, he goes for the Tailwind, and I go for Roost, and I attempt to Toxic. So it's a very passive turn on everyone's end. He sets up Tailwind, so he confirms to me that he's not AV or something. So, and here, his Toxic's really wearing him down, so he switches out and goes to Scrafty, get the Intimidate. But what he's not gonna expect is the Heat Wave and the Flamethrower Gyarados, knocking out the Ferrothorn, turn 1. And that is huge, because I do not want to deal with that thing. That thing has I know that once it gets going, it's going to be with seeds, then it'll be hard to stop, so. Now we have now I have a Heatran on the field with Tailwind, and Fake Out, so this is going to be kind of interesting. So I know Scrafty's going to Fake Out the Gyarados, and he misses on Zapdos, which is unfortunate, but he burns me, so that's kind of a revenge hacks on his, so you missed, but he burned my Gyarados, so, yeah. And Gyarados is now useless. I do paralyze the Heatran, however, because of the new mechanics of, the new Gen 7 mechanics, instead of being quartered, it's just half, so it's pretty much neutralized. But given that now keep in mind, I know this now, but at the time when I was battling, I forgot that I was -1 speed because of the Icy Wind. And this happens, and I'm like, oh great, I lost my item. Fortunately, it gets paralyzed, I do some chip damage, but this is very, bad, because now, there I should have just went to Terrakion. Because the reason why I should have went for Terrakion was because now Gyarados is very weakened. And as I go for Toxic on the Scrafty with Gyarados, now I'm in a very bad position. I'm forced. He can do whatever the hell he wants. A bear can just decide whether to attack me or just send in his best mons right now. So at this point, these are his best defensive mons, quote unquote. So I have to protect. I need to conserve Gyarados for the Blaziken because I don't know what Blaziken set is, and it's gonna be a sack no matter what. And I hope to God that he doesn't have something weird like Stealth Rock. Otherwise, that's gonna be bad. So I make a ballsy play and go into Terrakion, and I just go for damage, and Scrafty just misses a Dragon Tail, And that is actually good tech so that he could just avoid like the Mega Gengar and also like trap. He could prevent himself from being trapped from Mega Gengar and also removing like a setup sweeper. So that was good prep on his end. However, um, I have the offensive maneuvering, and I just knock out like Scrafty with the close combat, and I go from Thunderbolt onto the Heatran, but he protects obviously. Now this is a very important turn because this is what remember what I said that I forget my speed tiers, and this is where it really bites me in the ass. I forget that I go for close combat to do a solid chunk, and he goes for Tailwind, and I knock out the Suicune, but he gets his Tailwind off as a pretty much a sacrificial. Mon. Now, right now he trains neutralized pretty much but it's not like half speed, but it's now neutral. So, and I just lost like one of my best Mon. Well, that was a huge momentum change for him because now he's gonna send in Blaziken, and this is gonna be a very very like tense matchup because now here's the thing: I have Scotty P at 45%, 46% or 45%. Gengar is just about healthy. Probably my win. It's definitely my win con, and I have to stall out these Tailwind turns. And I do have Gyarados in the back, which is gonna die right now, so I am gonna decide to switch it in right then. I do also have Metagross, so if I happen to kill both Heatran and Blaziken, like maybe like the end game is at this point is just to get Metagross in against get Metagross to be able to beat Bulu and Heatran. Pretty much. So that's the ultimate end game. Defeat the Blaziken. So here I as I said, I have to get the Intimidate off to prevent him from doing heavy damage. I have to protect just to stall out a turn of Tailwind or whatever. So I protect. He goes for Rock Slide just to confirm one of his coverage moves. Knocks on my Gyarados. Goes for Heat Wave just to cover everything. And he's boosting up his speed. And I go into Scotty P. Now, before you see the protect, now this is where I think this was the deciding turn in the game because it was pretty much like he still had a chance to win because of the tailwind, but this is very huge because at this point I have to decide whether or not he's going to. I have to decide whether to preserve my Whimsicott or preserve my Terrakion and whether to get damage on Blaziken. So I decide to bait the protect from either Heatran or Blaziken because Blaziken typically carries protect just to raise its speed, and that's one of the reasons why I have a certain move. You'll see, I protect, he protects, I go for close combat for damage, and he's able to knock me out because obviously I am low and I'm minus like 2 defense, special defense, so Terrakion's down. However, he protected. So at this point it's game. I encore the Blaziken, and he's protect fails, and I can just knock out the Heatran. And at this point, it's over because I pretty much have the game on lock. So he has -1 attack, and he's encored, so I can just pretty much target into Tapu Bulu right here. So just to ensure the game, I just go for Fake Tears and go for Sludge Bomb, just knock it out. So he protects because he has a free turn to a free turn to protect while encored. So I can pretty much like encore him again into protect for a finite amount of times, but there's a good chance I'm gonna be able to hit him through. So, and Grassy Terrain's gonna recover Boo and Scotty P's HP up. So if his protect fails, I just Fake Tears, Sludge Bomb, and it's GG. So we won game 1, basically. So pretty much like Gengar and Whimsicott was able to like hold the line and do a good job at taking out both taking out the rest of his team. So Zapdos actually held very well. So Metagross didn't make an appearance, but if it had to, but at this point, like he had to like pretty much like flinch me down as his win con. That was probably his only win con, but once protected, I can just lock him down to like a finite amount of like encores. I could just double target pretty much, and I could just pretty much go for the fake tier Sludge Bomb or like Moonblast Sludge Bomb. So I gradually recover back from like from the terrain. Maybe he can, but at this point, at this point, he can't do much. So that was a solid win on our part, 4-0. So we'll move on to game 2. Now, game 2. All I have to say about game 2 is that it is far different to game 1. It's more. I will say that it is, as a slight spoiler, it is more contested. The only thing that I am worried about is that since we did talk to each other about our sets prior to game 1, so game 2 we kind of know what we're going with, and it was a very this is gonna be a lot of fun. You just trust me. So pretty much I'm deciding what's my best lead here, and I wanted to lead Gengar Gyarados, but Zapdos Gyarados seemed appealing to me, so I decide at this point I'm just gonna be like, he's gonna expect it, so I'm gonna lead Zapdos Gyarados to expect him to counter my lead. So he leads the same thing, scrap the Suicune to say fake out and get the tailwind off. So I get my Intimidate, and he gets his Intimidate. Really, just as my dog is barking. Well, you'll hear them to the side. So I'm deciding right now who the hell do I like Tailwind, who the hell not Tailwind, but Terrorize with Thunder Wave, who the hell do I Toxic, so and I'm like at this point like, okay, I'm gonna pause the video right here, so I'm gonna pause the video right here. Okay, we're back now. That was a very weird. Like, I had to go outside and check what the hell's going on, so there's nothing suspicious going on. This my dog's just barking at people. So yeah. Well, that's probably a huge ass spoiler for what's gonna happen. So, yeah. Where was I going with this battle? Okay, so I was debating of whether to Toxic or Paralyze the Suicune. So I decide here. I know he's gonna fake out either Zapdos or the Gyarados. So I'm gonna decide. Okay, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna status one of your Pokemon. So I made this. Well, never mind. I just go to the Whimsicott. I guess the reason why I go for Whimsicott was mostly because like just to get in like like just to get like like an encore onto the fake out itself, or just get the Moonblast damage, and he fakes out and he goes for Icy Wind, and I'm just like, great. This is the same situation but a little bit worse. I go for Moonblast just to get damage, and Scrafty is already like like, look at my team. I'm already like very low in HP, and at this point, like, he knocks off my item, and it looks like very grim. I have weakened yeah, like Scrafty here, but it's just like I have to protect my sweet my Zapdos because it's Wincon, and like Gyarados is just like, I really messed this. This is very early, like both this part and the battle sequence here, because now I am forced to like make these like switches into Metagross. Like I have to keep these things alive, basically. I make a switch to Metagross thinking he would go to Bulu, and I call it right. Like either Bulu or Ferrothorn, so I go for he goes for Waterfall, and he goes for another Icy Wind. He's just piling up those Icy Winds. Fortunately, we have Clear Body. It's not going to affect this team like that much, and he's going to recover back with Leftovers and Grassy Seed, and we'll recover back with the Grassy Terrain. So he goes for Nature's Madness, and I'm like, whoa. And I missed Meteor Mash here, and I'm like, wow, that's really bad. And he goes for a Snarl, and oh great, I'm getting damaged really left and right from both my mons. But here I go for the Leer, and if for those who watch my team builder, the reason why I went for Leer was pretty much set up for like the setup for KOs against the Suicune with my Metagross and my Terrakion later in the game. But as you're about to see, he decides that well, he has to get the hell out of there. So he switches Bulu out for Scrafty, gets the Intimidate. Again, Clear Body helps me out. Um, I go for Meteor Mash. I get a kill with Metagross there. As Suicune goes for the Snarl and just immediately takes me out. It doesn't take me out, but like does a fair chunk of damage on me. And I try to predict him to go to Ferrothorn, so I went for Flamethrower, and that's like, great. That was not a really good turn out of her. I would talk to Suicune if I had it, but I'm like, fuck. So here I am in a bad position. I have not intimidated the Blaziken at all, and this thing is already in, and I'm like, great. He's gonna get in his mons and whatnot, so he's gonna get like going with his speed boost and maybe tailwind boost. So I have to decide what to do here. So I have to switch, and I'm thinking, all right, so maybe I would make a hard switch into Terrakion. And here he megas up, and he actually protects. And I'm like, wow, I could have just sent in this Winscott. Like, I go for Hammer On because that's my only play. I thought he was going to target me down with X Xavier. Or, he goes for Snarl, and it does get me, like, boosted with the Terrakion. So, that is very, like, good from on my end. And I'm getting close to recovery, so here, I decide to protect Terrakion, thinking that he will he'll like attack with one of his mons, either Suicune or the Blaziken. But to my knowledge, he actually goes for the low kick and the Scald onto the Terrakion. So at this point, we're pretty much saved, and we're back to 100% with Terrakion. But same with the Blaziken. And Blaziken has to switch out because he's intimidated, and he's gonna go into top Bulu, and it's really bad on our end. But I decide we have to switch out because Suicune's gonna kill us if we don't, and they go back into Metagross. So just to pretty much, it's pretty much a sack, and I go for Waterfall just to get damage, and Suicune gets paralyzed. That is huge because he could have gotten the Tailwind up, and he could have just killed both of my mons with Bulu. But now you'll see that like this next couple turns is going to be very interesting. So he recovers with leftovers in grassy terrain. I'm recovering gradually with the grassy terrain on my end. I have to save Gyarados for the Intimidate, for the and also for the you-know-who. So here I know he's going to go for the Tailwind. I can't deny it from him. And I have to go for Meteor Mash. And I am deciding, like, alright, I'm going to get Gengar in. So this turn, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. What my thought process is. Here, I'm like, okay. Like, I know he's going to switch out. And I was thinking about whether or not I predict him to fully switch out to maybe, like, Heatran, or maybe the Blaziken, or the Ferrothorn. And I felt that Hammer Arm was my best play for Metagross. For Gengar, I kind of wanted to cover the Bulu. So, my best option here was to Mega. As you'll see the following turn. He switches out because he's gonna be able to prevent. He can before I Mega, so once I Mega, he's gonna be trapped in with Heatran. So I decided to go for Sludge Bomb onto that slot, and he's able to protect that immaculately. And he goes for Snarl, and he gets a crit on my Gengar, and this kind of sucks. And here I decided to go for Hammer Arm, and it does a lot of damage to Heatran to the point where like it's not gonna enjoy another hit on either of my mons. So I didn't make a ballsy play here. and I decide, okay, like what the hell do I do? Like Gengar, this is gonna be the turn deciding game, so like moment, so I have nothing else I can do with the Gengar. And Gengar has trapped the Suicune and the Heatran in, and I know he's gonna go for after my Gengar just to get rid of it. It's my Mega, and it's trapping both Heatran and the Suicune, so get rid of Gengar, then like he can pretty much win the game. So I decide to just straight up attack the Heatran slot with the Gengar as I switch out, go back into Gyarados, take whatever hit he's gonna take or whatever. So and Gengar, well, I protect. As you'll see, I'm gonna proc my berry and I get my special attack lowered, but it's not really that bad. So as you're slowly recovering with grass certainly. This turn I'd attack. He gets a crit on me and he burns me, and that's really bad. I go for Sludge Bomb onto the Suicune instead, and at this point Gengar is gone. However, I am able to get rid of those Heatran with the waterfall, so like who am I kidding? So like Heatran is down, and however we're back to almost the same position. He doesn't have good thing he doesn't have his how do I say it? Like he doesn't have Tailwind anymore. So he goes into Tapu Bulu, he goes into like I have to go into Whimsicott because well I am gonna predict him to go for Tailwind. And I go for Roost. I'm hoping that he's not gonna go for it. But he gets paralysis and that's really good on my end, so pretty much I get a free turn. Now I can make a play. And I can make this play. I could just fake tears and just Thunderbolt the Suicune just to prevent the Tailwind. I could have also done the same thing to Zapdos, to the Bulu, but here he switches in. Oh shit! Um, like I think of a head. He goes into Blaziken here. I fake tears, and Suicune is dead after fake tears plus Thunderbolt. So now I'm like, great. Like great. Ferrothorn is coming in now. I got rid of the Suicune, but now I have to deal with these two threats. Blaziken protects. I wish I protected there with my Whimsicott because I would have caught one or the other. I would have definitely caught one or the other. But I think he would have been like, okay, you have to do this one or the. You also have to do this. But I decided to intimidate the Blaziken there and there was because then and there because I felt like getting the attack drop onto the Blaziken, especially when he's with 3 months left and when I have 5 months, even though they're all like weakened, I have to do that. So like if I have a chance to win this game, so as you saw, Rock Slide misses, and I connect. I go for Thunder Wave onto the Blaziken because I do not want to stay doing anything like any shenanigans, like getting the speed boost or continued speed boost. So he actually switches out here, which is surprising, and I actually stay in with the Zapdos and my Metagross. I go for Hammer On because that's my only home move to hit Blaziken with for damage and really. So I'm recovering with grassy terrain with Metagross. Man, this Metagross has been taking hits all game. So finally I'm able to get my Heat Wave off. And that burn really helps me out. And the burn plus the Meteor Mash just takes out the blue. And Ferrothorn really can't beat the Zapdos. He's gonna like recover seeds, but the Blaziken is the main threat, so I decided to switch in Gyarados for the Intimidate, and he's at Ferrothorn's -5, Blaziken's -1. I go for Roost, just make the safe play, and he misses Zapdos. So this is already like really fun for him. So he's recovering with Ferrothorn, but I do have the Heat Wave. I send in my Terrakion, and I switch out Terrakion to Whimsicott. I remember this play. I don't know why I was doing that. I wanted to fade out the Protect, but like onto the Blaziken, but he gets paralyzed. He does protect there, but really, he does protect there, Like the main reason why I switched up like Terrakion was so that I could. I'm faster with Terrakion, but I wanted to switch out the like Winscott so that I could encore him. So into protect, and the same thing, and hopefully I could connect with my Heat Wave. Hopefully like that Ferrothorn doesn't like my Heat Wave connects onto Ferrothorn, and it does. If it didn't, then we would have been in a lot of trouble there. Um, so yeah, um, Moonblast just takes out the Blaziken to like 52 HP or 52%, and he gets paralyzed, and that's really sucks. As Zapdos is able to take out the Blaziken, and that is GG to my opponent Bear. Well, that game it was a lot close, and honestly, Blaziken was a huge threat in all games, in the entire games that was in. Also, Suicune. Another thing that I didn't notice was like Metagross in this game, in game two, like it stood around for a long time. It just took the hits when it needed to take the hits. Even though it took it like a Nature's Madness, like it was able to refine itself and get back into positioning. So it was cool to see like Metagross like get 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 its act together. So yeah. Hopefully, you guys like this video or like this first round, as we'll be having other other uninterrupted videos shortly soon. So I hope you guys enjoy and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.